Right, now here's the other one. Pretty similar in circuit. You can see the valve configuration is almost identical. 3 12AX7s, 1 12AU7, 4 6L6s. It's only got one transformer, power transformer. A lot smaller. I'm wondering if they just used whatever they had floating around. And then the output transformer over there that looks almost identical, just less laminations. Now, this is in for a full resto as well. We're going to try and get as much of that corrosion off the chassis as we can, or just loose stuff off the chassis, and then just sort of seal it with something, wax or whatever. We've got the 4 caps there. They're 100 microfarad, 500 volt each. Sorry, 350 volt each, and they're in series, 2 sets of series. You've got another multi-section cap down there which has 4 sections at 22 microfarad 400 volt. So what I'm going to do, the easiest way to do it is just 4 can caps. Now these here, Tube Amp Doctor 50 microfarad, I'm just going to run both sections in parallel to get 100 microfarad 500 volt. We're overshooting the voltage by, you know, we've got 70% or something on the 350 rating. It's just easy to use these, the same diameter, and we can mount them there without having to redo stuff and mount boards and all sorts of horrible shit. So that's the route I've decided to go on this one. This has got linear faders. I really hope they're okay, because they'll be a pain in the ass to change if they're not. But this old stuff tends to be built like a brick shithouse, and it's got all the knobs on the faders. Can you believe it? Crazy talk. But yeah, pretty much the exact same setup, just linear faders instead of rotary controls. Now these 2 preamp valves were completely missing their shields, so I'll just check that the Belton ones we've got do fit, and I'll install some on there just for partially protection, also just noise. And we'll plug those 12AX7 holes as per the other one. There's some gaping holes either side of the transformer. I think they are just, it is what it is from the factory. I don't think it was a replacement transformer. I think they just had a opening in the chassis to suit other models, and they just used whatever they could get their hands on. So I might make some little plates and just cover that, and just make it a bit safer. Now again, all these caps, their brackets are held on with rivets, so we'll see if we can just clean them up and reuse them without removing them, because replacing them would be a bit of a time suck. So here's the rear of the chassis. You can see all the pots just mounted up in thin air up there, and they've just left the top plate a bit clear so the wiring can find its way down. That's all well and good up there, but up here you've got switches with high voltage and stuff on them, so it's a little bit sketchy. But again, this thing's supposed to be in a cabinet. It's not, it doesn't just sit there like this. So I'll have a look at the cabinet, and we'll look at maybe putting a rear cover or something on there to make it a bit safer if it doesn't already have one. It could very well already have one. So someone's already changed out the Bolgen connector for just IEC, so we'll reuse that. The fuse holder, we may replace this one too, because it's the strange sort of cardboard looking thing. And there's the rear badge, M&R Amplifiers Proprietary Limited, made in Melbourne, Victoria. Serial number 3905, so that implies that they did make quite a few units. It weren't just a backyard operation. And a speaker and extension speaker outlets. And here's the plate on the output transformer. You can see down there, LM Ericsson Proprietary Limited, Trimax Division, Melbourne, Australia. See, I don't know much about Trimax, but yeah, I'll look that up. Maybe post a link in the description for those 2 people that care. And we've got a bit of a mishmash of output valves here. We've got a Sovtek 6L6. We've got 2 Fender branded ones there with a sort of square shouldered base. Then we've got the groove tubes, Fender, whatever you see that as. It's just another Sovtek. So we'll change them out. Quoted for a new quad of them. We're not going to play with them and see what's what. We're just going to throw a new set in. You can see where all hell broke loose here. Probably from a sort of shorted section on that multi-section cap down there, because that's the preamp nodes, and the damage has occurred after that capacitor there, which is the screen node, I believe. I've got to check the tracing. I'm just sort of getting back into it after my bloody wedding, mate. There's the guts. Looks very different to the other one in terms of layout, but essentially the circuit's pretty much the same. These output sockets look in a bit better nick than the other one. I'll check very closely there. It's hard to see if there was any tracking on a black socket, but I think the cause of this fault is probably a section of that cap failing short circuit. So that's the theory we're running with at the moment. As I said, we're doing a full sort of resto to this thing, so we're going through and just checking for any dodgy work, checking for any drifting components, any leakage in film caps, just replacing all of the electrolytic caps, getting rid of dumb shit like this. You got your earth from your IEC connector there that can easily touch. And here's those dodgy fuse holders I was talking about. So we're going to get rid of them and put some nice new plastic ones on there. The output sockets for the speakers look pretty chunky, so we'll see if we can just clean them up. The other one had one already replaced with a lower quality one. But yeah, these ones actually look pretty good. So we'll see if we can retain them, if they're reliable. Here's the bias supply. I'll check the schematic on that and just make sure if that pop fails, it goes to maximum negative voltage as opposed to losing all supply. We'll probably definitely change that cap, possibly change the diode to be safe, and check the resistors in the divider circuit and just check that they're within tolerance. Possibly change them as well, just as a matter of course. You don't try and save time with the bias circuit. Yes, I forgot. This one has a separate screen and plate supply. So you can see there, that's always on to the plates, and then your first screen supply there, your first node there is a screen supply, and that's got a separate winding. So kind of strange in that respect, but that's what I'm saying. Some of these amps, they're kind of weird. It's got separate heater circuits for the output valves and the preamp and tremolo valves there. And the output valves are obviously not center tapped. So they're, that's 6.3 volts. And then you got 6.3 volt center tap, but I'm assuming that was a typo, 12.7 volts center tapped. So this bunch of charred bullshit here is the screen droppers. So actually they come before the screen node, so it could have been a screen short that caused that. So yeah, more investigation required. You can see they've made up resistor values out of a bunch. So we'll just replace that with something that would work. We kind of have to guess here because we don't know what value they were. And if you measured them, they're probably either open circuit or heavily out of tolerance. But you know, we know what a valve amp needs to operate. So we'll chuck in what we expect to be the value and then take some measurements and reassess from there. Chances are it's just identical to the other one because there's so many similarities between these two amps. Down here you can see the tremolo opto with the neon, not coated with anything or like not in heat shrink. So we might just check that everything works there, and once we've serviced it we'll put some heat shrink tubing over that or something. Something not duct tape, please. I've seen that many times before. Now, it's actually interesting, there's a few radial caps in here, so this was probably pushing into the 70s as well when they started appearing in all the hi-fi stuff. And we're probably just going to replace them with axials because you've got the terminals pretty far apart there. But we could use either one as long as you secure them properly. Now this one's a bit better, it's already got 470 ohm screen grid resistors. The other one only had 100 ohm. So we'll check them for drift again and replace them if required. So this one was probably a little bit less work in it compared to the other one, although we did have to trace them out both just to confirm their exact circuit. The only showstopper with these could be if those faders need replacement. We'd have to find some solution there. So let's just keep our fingers crossed that they'll clean up okay, and we'll just carry on with the work, mate. It might be a good little live stream amp, this one, just to just to chill out and just do the grunt work, like changing those caps, or we're having a little chat, little post-wedding chat. So yeah, if you're interested, keep an eye out, and we'll have this one the next day or two.